What do you get when you mix government secrets in group chats, natural disasters on a warpath, and a family limo getting hit by a train on the way to a funeral? You get this week's episode of Our Crazy World, where truth is stranger, sadder, and sometimes way dumber than fiction. Kicking off our countdown, straight out of Scotland, 2 teenagers have just been arrested after a series of firebomb attacks in Edinburgh. We're talking real-life GTA here. Molotovs thrown at homes, a beauty salon torched, and it's all tied to a turf war over a failed £500,000 drug deal involving counterfeit cash. Allegedly, this gang feud stretches between Edinburgh and Glasgow, and people are fearing more violence to come. Scotland Yard isn't playing. They're moving in hard. Wild.
This house in Edinburgh was the subject of a petrol bomb attack almost a week ago, allegedly. The home in Hay Drive in Niddrie was torched, allegedly, as part of an ongoing battle between gangs for control of the lucrative cocaine market. Police Scotland confirmed today that an 18-year-old man and a 17-year-old youth have been arrested in connection with the incident. The 18-year-old has also been arrested after a fire at a property in Albert Street at the start of last month, owned by the partner of jailed gangland figure Mark Richardson, who has been moved to isolation at Low Moss Prison. Officers say inquiries are ongoing into the incidents, which are linked to the recent discharge of firearms and other fires in the city. These latest arrests come after over a month of gangland attacks on premises in Edinburgh. At the start of March, the Belle Chevaux salon in Albert Street in Leith, run by Mark Richardson's partner, was allegedly petrol bombed. 10 days later, a property in Milton Road East in the south of Edinburgh, where it's understood the father of Richardson's partner lives and runs a business, was also torched. The turf war took an even more sinister turn when shots were fired at a property linked to Richardson in Pilton, while a compound he owns was also torched 10 miles away. It came just 24 hours after a gunman blasted 3 bullets into the home of Richardson's pal, Paddy Beatson, in Niddrie. The following day, a house on Hay Drive in Niddrie was allegedly petrol bombed as those responsible tried to intimidate the Edinburgh gangster. Then a post was put up in social media showing video footage of the incidents, with the Martha and Vandella song Nowhere to Run To playing under it, sending a clear message to anyone associated with the Richardsons. But then the mob targeted properties in Glasgow with links to the Daniels crime clan. This is the latest warning from mob figures waging war on Mark Richardson and the Daniels crime clan. A video posted online shows flames ripping into a business unit set alight in another early morning firebomb attack in Glasgow. The industrial unit in Bishopbriggs went up in smoke at around 1 AM this morning, just hours before a video.
2 teens playing GTA in real life, except there's no respawn, and now they're heading straight to the big house expansion pack. But while Scotland's on fire, the US decided to throw a tantrum of its own, with tornadoes, floods, and chaos from the sky. Let's go. Next up, Mother Nature said, "I'm not done with y'all." A devastating storm system ripped through the southern and midwestern US, spawning over 145 tornadoes and dropping 15 inches of rain in Kentucky alone. At least 25 lives lost. Entire towns flooded. One man even captured a tornado ripping the roof clean off a gas station while hiding in his truck.
In days of unrelenting rain and storms have killed at least 19 people across several states.
Yeah, it has been very active and very deadly and dangerous. Dozens of rivers are now nearing record flood levels as some areas receive more than 4 months worth of rain in just 4 days. You know you've got problems when that happens. Meteorologist Cody Matz joins us with a look at some of that flooding. Just incredible numbers.
Yeah, it is impressive. Good morning. Several rounds of heavy rain impacting a dozen states with widespread amounts of 6 to 12 plus inches just since last Wednesday. Some areas in Kentucky, though, a couple of bullseye zones right in there. 18 inches of rain in just 4 days. That has a return interval of once every 1,500 years. Yikes. The The 19 now reported deaths span across several states, with 10 in Tennessee alone, many of them unfortunately from that flash flooding. In Kentucky, a 9-year-old boy was actually caught up in floodwaters just while walking to catch his morning school bus. Here is a look at the situation in Frankfort, Kentucky, in the northern part of the state, where crews from the local fire department were conducting search and rescues in a flooded street. The city issued a mandatory curfew from 8 o'clock last night to 6 o'clock this morning for all flood-affected areas. The Kentucky River that goes through the city there just crested at 49.3 feet. That is just 2 inches shy of the record crest for that spot set back in 1978. Thankfully, the city's flood wall is holding and is designed to withstand 51 feet of water. Well, farther to the south in Tennessee, this is a look at the small town of Rives, I believe. That's how you say it. Home to about 200 people, located in the northwestern part of the state. The town was almost entirely underwater after the Obion River overflowed. That river actually crested yesterday, just within a few inches of record levels as well. The fire department there urging all of the residents to leave the area, but some chose to stay. One man went there Sunday to check on his father after not actually hearing from him.
Water line's right up to the doorstep, but it hasn't quite made it in the house as far as I know. But if it keeps raining like this, it'll probably flood his house.
President Trump has approved the disaster declaration for all 95 counties in Tennessee, setting in motion FEMA's response to disaster relief across that state. Now, all of this flooding is coming on the heels of another large tornado outbreak, which spawned dozens of twisters across the lower Mississippi River Valley last week. So far this year, there have been about a little over 450 tornado reports. That's all preliminary estimates, but that's more than double the average number of tornadoes to this point in the season, and is actually the third highest number on record through yesterday, April 6th. So it's not only just the flash flooding, it's tornadoes. Yeah. It's been kind of a wild year so far for some spots, and they just not getting a break. Most of the river levels, especially the small tributaries, will crest over the next 72 hours. The Ohio and Mississippi, which obviously are much larger rivers, take longer to crest. All of that will happen in the next week to 10 days.
Oh, wow. So they're not quite finished with this yet.
They're not done yet. And river flooding is like the slow motion train wrecks. Yeah. A long way to go.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Cody.
Yeah.
Tornadoes, floods, and flying cows. If Mother Nature had a mood ring, it'd be straight up flashing menace. But while the skies were unleashing chaos, the Pentagon was busy dropping bombs in a group chat. And one wrong ad turned a secret war plan into headline news. Buckle up. Imagine this. Top U.S. officials, including the Secretary of Defense and the CIA director, discussing sensitive military operations in a group chat, and accidentally adding a journalist to the conversation. Dubbed Signalgate, this blunder revealed plans for airstrikes in Yemen and even mentioned an undercover CIA agent. It's like they thought national security was a group project on social media.
A lot to get to this morning, and we will begin with the stunning sharing of sensitive military operations by top Trump administration officials through a group chat on the Signal app. The editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, reported yesterday that National Security Advisor Mike Waltz inadvertently added him earlier this month to a group chat about military strikes on Yemeni Houthis. According to Goldberg, the group included Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and others, many others. In the article, Goldberg described his initial skepticism, wondering if the unsolicited outreach was part of a disinformation campaign. Goldberg wrote that Hegseth on Saturday, March 15th, texted the group the war plan 2 hours before the strikes, which included precise information about weapons packages, targets, and timing. Goldberg left the group after he concluded it was almost certainly real. And Willie, there's so many questions here. First of all, what are they doing on the Signal app, which is encrypted and safe, but certainly not for top secret classified government information about war plans?
The Chinese, we know, easily tapping into all of these phones. There's so many questions here. Privacy, tech experts say Signal's encrypted messaging is more secure than conventional texting, but of course can be hacked and certainly is not cleared for classified information. Several Defense Department officials told the New York Times they were shocked Hegseth had put American war plans into a commercial chat group. They said having this type of conversation in a signal group itself could be a violation of the Espionage Act, a law that covers the handling of sensitive information. When asked yesterday about the piece in The Atlantic from Jeffrey Goldberg, President Trump claimed he didn't know anything about the leaked strike plans. Advisor Mike Waltz later in the day yesterday, the White House press secretary then issued a statement that reads in part, President Trump continues to have the utmost confidence in his national security team, including National Security Advisor Mike Waltz.
Multiple sources tell CNN Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth revealed attack plans for airstrikes on Houthi rebels in Yemen in another signal chat. This one included his wife, brother, and personal attorney. Now, this second signal chat is in addition to the one Hegseth used to communicate about military plans with cabinet officials last month that is now under investigation by the Defense Department's acting inspector general. I want to go straight to CNN's Kevin Liptak, who is at the White House for more on this. Kevin, what are we learning about this?
Yeah, and if this all sounds sort of reminiscent of that scandal that engulfed the administration about a month ago, it should, because the Secretary of Defense, we are now learning, shared very similar details about the U.S. attack plans on the Houthi rebels in Yemen on a second signal group. And we understand that this included things like takeoff times for some of those fighter jets as they were preparing to strike those targets in Yemen. The big difference here is who comprised each of these signal groups, because remember that first time around, that group was created by the National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. It was intended to coordinate this attack with members of the cabinet officials who were in top national security positions in the administration, and he inadvertently included the journalist Jeffrey Goldberg. This new signal group that we are just learning about this evening included some members of Pete Hegseth's inner circle who are, it's not clear what reason they would have to have this information about the strikes that the U.S. was planning to carry out. It included his brother and his personal attorney. They both work at the Pentagon. It's not clear whether they have security clearances. It also included his wife, Jennifer, who has accompanied him previously in meetings with other foreign officials, which has raised some eyebrows among certain officials at the Pentagon. Now, as you mentioned, that original signal sort of snafu is now being investigated by the Inspector General at the Pentagon. It's not clear whether this latest revelation will be included in the review. The Pentagon officially has not commented on these latest revelations, which I should note were first reported by the New York Times. But this does punctuate a period of chaos inside the Pentagon and inside the inner circle of Pete Hegseth. You'll remember just last week, senior officials who were in sort of his front office at the Pentagon were fired essentially for what officials described as a leak investigation.
You know it's bad when your war strategy leaks faster than a Marvel movie trailer. At this rate, the next Pentagon briefing might be on TikTok. But while national secrets were being passed around like memes, tragedy struck on a college campus. Where the danger was terrifyingly real, let's head to Florida State. On April 17, 2025, tragedy struck Florida State University when a 20-year-old student opened fire in the Student Union building, killing 2 employees and injuring 6 others. The suspect, known for his far-right views, was apprehended after being shot by police. This incident has reignited debates over campus safety and gun control.
But we begin tonight with breaking news and another mass shooting in this country, this time at Florida State University in Tallahassee. 2 people are now dead. We know that they are not students, 6 others injured. Investigators have not revealed any other details about those victims.
More gun insanity in this country. Authorities say the shooter is in custody. 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, a student at the university. He is also hospitalized. Police say he used a gun belonging to his mother, who is a sheriff's deputy. They say he had access to her weapons.
Investigators say he opened fire near the student union. When officers arrived, they immediately found the gunman. When he refused to comply, he was shot. Video from earlier today shows students in that all too familiar and tragic scene of being escorted to safety with their hands up. Terrifying moments for everyone on campus.
The shots rang out and we were like, is that construction going on, or what was happening? And I remember looking outside and hearing 5 more shots go off.
I see these group of girls crying, really upset, walking back from the student union, told me they heard gunshots, and they just ran and came back to their apartment where I was walking to.
Accounts of so many young people, hard to hear for sure. Eyewitness News anchor Mike Marza here now with more. Mike?
Bill and Liz, imagine getting those alerts on your phone and being a parent half a country away. Calling the scene horrific, that's what cops are doing tonight. Investigators say, yes, the son of a sheriff's deputy started shooting at the student union just before noon. Police identifying the alleged shooter as, again, 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, a current FSU student and the son of a current Leon County Sheriff's deputy. Police rushing to the scene. They say they confronted the shooter and shot him when they say that he refused their commands. You can sort of make out the bottom of his shoe or boot in the ambulance, and police putting him in shackles. We're told he suffered non-life-threatening injuries after being shot by police. But when cops got to campus, students, some of them started running out of the buildings. Some described a threat alarm going off. Some, of course, were crying, using backpacks as shields in school. The accused shooter, described as a long-standing member of the Leon County Sheriff's Office Youth Advisory Council and participated in training programs. Again, his mom, a sheriff's deputy, has been with the sheriff's office for 18 years. Investigators say her training weapon was found at the shooting scene.
Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. The alleged shooter was also a long-standing member of the Leon County Sheriff's Office Citizen Advisory or Youth Advisory Council. So he has been steeped in the Leon County Sheriff's Office family, engaged in a number of training programs that we have.
So far in 2025, there have been 81 mass shootings as of April 17th, including this latest one in Florida. By the way, this is Florida's 6th mass shooting so far this year. The investigation continues, but we know classes and activities are canceled throughout the weekend. Bill?
It's a sad reminder that no matter how safe we think we are, sometimes danger can show up out of nowhere. Hopefully, we'll see better solutions in the future. And speaking of unexpected danger, let's head over to Tennessee, where a family on their way to a funeral found themselves in the middle of a real-life nightmare. In Bartlett, Tennessee, 6 family members traveling to a grandmother's funeral were struck by a train at an unguarded crossing. The limousine was hit on the passenger side, injuring all occupants, including a child and a single mother who suffered a severe leg fracture. Despite the harrowing crash, all are expected to recover. The incident has raised concerns about the safety of crossings without gates.
News at 6 starts now. Tragedy on the way to a funeral. A funeral home limousine carrying a family hit by a train this afternoon in Bartlett.
6 members of that already grieving family wound up in the hospital instead of going to their loved one's memorial service. This crash happened at the intersection of Sycamore View Road and Stage Road in Bartlett.
Fox 13's Jack Bilyeu joins us live from the scene tonight. So Jack, how did this happen?
Well, it's not exactly clear who is at fault in this incident, whether the limo driver wasn't paying attention, the train engineer didn't properly signal, but what is clear is what you can see behind me. You can see the railroad tracks run right through that intersection. There are railroad crossing signs, but none of those gates that lower to keep cars from getting hit. Now you can see the damage to that limo in this video from earlier this afternoon. One side's completely caved in. The train pushed the limo off the street more than 100 feet up the tracks, and the car went through a fence before it finally stopped. Miraculously, no one was killed. A relative says the limo was driving the children and grandchildren of a deceased person just minutes before that person's funeral was set to start.
The funeral was set to start in about the next 20 minutes or so. So family in there just viewing the body and whatever. Because the family was trailing, this was the whole procession. So of course our family members saw when this happened. The people trailing saw this when it happened.
You can see that wreckage over there. That's where that limo finally came to a stop right into that fence. Now, the funeral director was on the scene here. We approached him about the situation. He told us he had no comment. Darcy?
Well, Jack, you said earlier that at that intersection there are no actual arms, but do you know if the lights were working at the time?
Well, Darcy, I can tell you when we were out here, we did hear those bells going off. We saw the lights flashing. The question is, did that happen in time?
Yeah, that is Fox 13's Jack.
Talk about a series of unfortunate events. On the way to a funeral and nearly ending up in another. When it rains, it pours, and sometimes it hits like a freight train. From government blunders to natural disasters and unexpected tragedies, this week truly showcased the chaos of our crazy world. And that wraps up this week's episode of Our Crazy World. If these stories left you speechless, just wait for what next week has in store. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss the madness. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.